Welcome to the 31st MMA Roundtable. It's May 16th, 2013. The MMA Roundtable, we've come together again, the guys from MMA Mental, the MMA Podcast, and the Word on the Street, to bring you the week in MMA every Thursday from 5 to 7 Eastern. We got a bit of MMA news to break down, a few fight announcements. This Saturday we got UFC on FX, Belfort versus Rockhold. Looking forward to that, and we'll break that down as well. Let's do it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Roundtable. It is myself, it is Ramses from the Word on the Street, it is Ray, Jay, and Patrick from MMA Mental. Ray, what is new with MMA Mental interviews and whatnot?
Yeah, we've had another good week. We've got quite a few interviews in the pipeline at the minute. We're waiting to come through, and if they come off, there's some good interviews. But this week so far, we've spoke to an up-and-coming fighter, a fighter called Kerry Hughes. She's a UK women's fighter. She's fighting amateur at the moment, or semi-pro, sorry. But she's just been picked up by a big sponsor in the UK, and I think big things are expected of her in the future. And we also spoke to a guy who's fighting on XFC soon, and he actually fought on the Ultimate Fighter Live. We spoke with John Kofa. We're due to speak to Jesse Taylor tomorrow, which should be interesting. We've got Dwayne Ludwig coming up next week, which we're pleased about, and we're in talks with an agent at the minute who's got a few guys we should be getting on the show. One of them being Michael McDonald. So if that comes off, that'll be good. And we're starting a new feature on tomorrow's show as well. Me and Patrick are teaming up with Vic from MMA Victor. We're going to do like a mini MMA Victor roundtable, but we want to try and get it out there to as many people as possible. But one of the people on the roundtable with us is going to be Tough 17 and obviously UFC middleweight Luke Barnett. So that's pretty good. So he'll be, and hopefully he's going to join us on a regular basis, which is pretty exciting going forward. But yeah, so lots of exciting things going on, of course, with MMA Mental.
Yeah, Luke's a nice guy. I've talked to him a couple times. Team Darkside, friend of Coach Jamie Huey, who's also a regular host on the Word on the Street show. Speaking of the Word on the Street show, we had a great show this past week. We had a couple of coaches, one of whom is Kelvin Gaslam's coach at Yuma United MMA. He's fought in a 2-on-2 match, some crazy shit. What else is going on with the Word on the Street, Ramses?
Look, if you want to hear UFC shit that isn't watered down media crap, you're going to want to follow me on the Twitter, the Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter. And if you like hot Twitter bitches, you're going to want to follow me, all right? Because I got too many of them. I'm going to do a giveaway, all right? A giveaway later tonight. Follow the Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter. It's your chance to win a Twitter girlfriend who's actually hot as fuck, not a catfish that's going down. Also, later on tonight, listen to the Word on the Street podcast. We're going to have, I believe, MMA fighter Keto Andrews, who he was on the premiere episode of The Ultimate Fighter Season 17 this season, but he was eliminated from going into the house because he lost to the champion, Kelvin Gastelum. He'll be on the show tonight. That's the Word on the Street.
Word on the Street, ladies and gentlemen. You fucking heard that shit. Jay, early stoppage, what's going on? You finally wrangled Patrick to come on the show?
Yeah, man, we kidnapped him, we grabbed him, held him hostage, and eventually we got him on the show for just the half an hour that the show is, as always. Had another fantastic show. It was a great time. You've got to check it out. It's on YouTube. I'm not sure whether I even put it on MMA Mental. I know it's on MMA Victor. So, guys, go check it out. It's a great show, and I hope Patrick would think the same, because we still haven't released him.
Fuck yeah, he's still in captivity. He is on the show, though. How are things going, P-Money?
I am being held forcibly against my will to do all podcasts. At least that's my story, but that's all right. Secretly, I like it. Things are going well. The Word on the Early Stoppage podcast. It was beautiful getting together with Jay to do that. We had to reconnect the dots, reschedule some things. We made it happen. We killed it, if I do say so myself, which I do. Everybody, you got to check it out. Go to MMAVictor.com. Get in your picks. You got the free picks. You got the money picks. Make a little cash and listen to your boys on MMA Victor Radio while you're doing it.
Fuck yeah. Speaking of MMA, Victor, get your picks in, go on the forums. It's a really fun pick game, and you can profit off it if you know your shit as well. That's MMAVictor.com. And also another quick plug to the Word on the Street, just because I'm going to be defending my belt tonight on the Word on the Street. We have a mini game on the Word on the Street like we do here. I was the first champion. We got some punk by the name of Ross Finkelstein giving me all sorts of shit on Twitter. Look, Ross no respect me. Ross no respect the fans. Ross no respect nothing. Ross need to train. No more talk. Train. That's all I got to say about that shit. It will be on later tonight. Follow us all on Twitter. You can follow Ramses at the Aunt Jimmy Show, Ray at MMA Mental, Jay at J_Jeans, Patrick at Sweet Pappy Jones, and myself at MMA Mental, and we will get straight into the news. I almost feel like we've talked about the topic ad nauseum, but we got another fighter testing positive.
Hang on. You're getting a little nervous here. You're getting a little nervous. Now, I did notice that instead of announcing your own Twitter handle, you gave out MMA Mentals again.
I did.
Oh, shit. Tell the people
I just got a million things going through my mind. The MMA Podcast. Yes. I've said it a million times. Follow us at the MMA Podcast or visit themmapodcast.com. We got so many MMA podcasts going around. I get them mixed up in my head from time to time. Plus, I think I've driven like 6 hours total, so my mind is a little bit fried out today. I had to pick some motherfuckers up from the airport and whatnot. But we will get to this opening bit of news, which really unfortunate news for Pat Healy testing positive for marijuana after his amazing fight against Jim Miller, stripped of all that bonus money, $130,000 down the tube. We will talk about the whole Brian Caraway loop next, because I don't really want to get into that yet. But you know, we've talked about our thoughts on whether or not weed should be made legal, so I don't really want to get back into that because we've said it, like I said, ad nauseum. But as far as them taking away his money, I thought that was a little strange. You know, fight of the night, knockout of the night. Whether or not, you know, I mean, I think flipping the fight to a no contest is enough. Taking all of a fighter's money, you know, this $130,000, all of this money isn't just like money that goes straight into savings. You've got to pay as a fighter for your training team. There's a lot of costs that go into training for a fight and being a UFC fighter. This is just super, super unfortunate for Pat Healy. Should they have taken away his money though, Ray?
I think they should have done. I think that as harsh as it sounds, he's broken the rules. He'll probably still get his wages, but he earned two bonuses. He earned submission of the night and fight of the night. But at the end of the day, it's now been proved that he cheated. You know, whether you agree or disagree with it, that is the rules, and he broke those rules. So yeah, I think somebody who did not cheat should be entitled to that money. I know you probably don't like that kind of take on it, but the fact of the matter is, the rules say you're not allowed to have more. You're not allowed to have that in your system, and it was in his system whether you like it or not. So you know, if the fight's a no contest, he didn't deserve the bonuses.
Man, this guy has fought 46 fights. That is insane. He knows the rules better than most guys who step into that cage, yeah? I might be hypocritical here, but he's an idiot. I mean, my favourite fighter is Thiago Silva, and even though he's he's impossible to follow, Pat Healy's made the same mistake. You can't, whether, as Ray said, it's against the rules. Whether you're pro-marijuana or whatever, it doesn't make a difference. You've got to follow those rules, and he didn't. He knows better than this. Does he deserve the fine? Well, it's a no contest. It's not a win anymore. So how he can get the submission of the night win, that makes no sense. The fight of the night, maybe he could have kept that, but either way, he's an idiot.
Look, he's just another in the latest of the what I like to call MMA marijuana victims, right? People getting screwed over by, yes, it is a rule, but God damn it, people, this rule does not make any fucking sense at all. No one smokes marijuana for the purpose of improving their fight game or being a better fighter. Nobody does it, all right? It is not, the rule does not make sense. It should not even be there. There should be some sort of allowance for just fuck, common sense, people. The commission needs to rethink this. I would, maybe the fighters should band together, and maybe if the UFC was behind it a little bit, maybe some sort of just protest here, some strike, something to let the athletic commission know it's time to reconsider this fucking rule, because it doesn't make any sense. Pat Healy did get screwed. He's just another MMA marijuana victim.
Ramses, I'm with you 1,000,000%. Not only did Pat Healy get screwed over, they should have given him an extra bonus for him to have beaten Jim Miller while under the influence of weed. It's fucking insane. And not only, Ramses is just on such a good point here, following rules that don't make sense, which we all know that this whole marijuana thing, it does not improve your ability as a fighter. It is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. And following rules that don't make sense is what is ruining not just the United States of America, but the globe as a whole. Following rules that don't make sense is what led to the Holocaust. People not questioning rules that don't make sense is what led us to this fucking generation we're living in of just mindless drones who just comply with everything and are just malleable and just want to listen to the man's word. It's bullshit. Pat Healy, he got jobbed. He's as many fights as he had, he's never sniffed $130,000. And he just had his fucking dreams crushed. Is weed a performance-enhancing drug, or does it make you stupid, and does it slow your reaction time? Because I'm not sure. I've heard both things, and it just doesn't fucking make sense. You got to pick one of the other people.
Yeah, I did release some breaking news on the Word on the Street Tuesday night. I sent the field reporters out. I sent them to every hotel the fighters have stayed in the last 2 years at every UFC event, from the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas straight to the Westin in Atlantic City, and I found out some shocking things. I am going to be submitting a formal class action lawsuit on behalf of all the people who've tested positive for marijuana, like your Robbie Peraltas, your Thiago Silvas, your now Pat Healys, your Brian Stans, everybody who's tested positive for weed. I'm putting in a class action lawsuit form because I figured out something pretty shocking. It turns out every fighter who's tested positive for marijuana in the last 2 years has booked the room directly above Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo. I think the smoke is going up through the vents, getting into their room, getting in the system, and coming out on the drug test. These poor guys like Brian Stan need to make a living, son. Come on now. But
no
we will...
No joke at all, man. Chael Sonnen's book, The Voice of Reason, actually mentions a time that he actually got legitimately, he got a contact high from the hotel room next door before a fight. True story.
That's true. He had to switch rooms because he knew he might test positive the next day. Speaking of people who would feel uncomfortable in the room above Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo, Brian Caraway, I've called him the most hated irrelevant fighter in MMA before. He's not really in the title picture at his weight class, yet everyone hates him for a lot of different reasons. Look, a lot of people are just jealous of him because a lot of us would like to be dating Misha Tate, and we aren't. He is. A lot of us are jealous over that. A lot of people got on the anti-Brian Caraway wagon when Ronda Rousey was shit-talking before Rousey vs. Tate, saying, yeah, and after I beat you up, Misha, I'll beat up your boyfriend. And you can tell Brian Caraway has an amazing sense of humor, because after Rousey said that, Brian Caraway went on Twitter and said, oh yeah, Ronda, I'll knock all your teeth down your throat and break your arm, which is really something that's classy. It's something you want to tell a girl if say you're taking a girl on a second date, third date, trying to seal the deal, trying to bring her home and get that sweet nookie. Tell her you're going to punch her in the face, bust all her teeth out, and bust her teeth down her throat and break her arm. Look, Brian Caraway, in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes, is not somebody of the most moral background, but he comes out saying, all I've got to say is that's some expensive weed. I have no remorse or guilt. I don't feel bad for Healy. This is a quote. I hate weed. I cannot stand it. I've never tried it. Brian Caraway says he likes Healy, has no ill will toward him, but basically saying, yeah, I don't feel bad for you. That's some expensive weed, blah, blah, blah. because he did get Pat Healy's bonus money. What do you make of all of this shit coming down the line about Brian Caraway? I've already expressed I'm not really a fan of the guy. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Man, this is probably the worst person to come to on the subject, as I've got no reason to dislike him. It's all Pat Healy's own undoing. The whole situation in regards to the beating up of Ronda Rousey, he's not going to do it unless Rousey starts on him. And, you're defending yourself. If she tries to put you in an armbar, you're not just going to let it happen. You're going to try and defend yourself. The situation is it's a bit of a controversial one, but I got no reason to really hate on this kid. I mean, I don't think Miesha Tate is all that attractive personally. I think she's actually a bit of an idiot for getting a boob job. You shouldn't, if you're a professional fighter, the last thing you should need is something added onto your body.
10 pounds of silicone.
Yeah, exactly. If you're saying that weed's illegal, why the hell are you putting plastic in your body? Surely that's going to take away some pain receptors. Whatever, I have no reason to hate this guy. He lost to Mizugaki, which is perfect, as I'm a Mizugaki fan. And yeah, I've got no reason to hate on him, but whatever. It's his choices in life.
Ramses, let us know what the word on the street is with this fool.
It's not looking too good for Brian Caraway, I gotta say, people. Every time I hear his name in the news or anywhere, it's always something negative, alright? He is turning out, like I said, he's turning out to be the biggest mark in the UFC right now. How many people have taken shots at him now? Nate Diaz calling him a fancy boy. Everybody that's pro Healy's taking some shots at him. Ronda Rousey hates his guts, calling him a douchebag. She doesn't give a fuck. Brian Caraway, man, this is not how you want to make a name for yourself. And even though he isn't really doing much, you gotta stop and ask yourself, why is it that this is happening? Why are we seeing a pattern here about this Brian Caraway guy? It's like, when was the last time someone accused you of smoking crack? When you weren't smoking crack. Do you understand what I'm saying? And what if, like, you heard a friend of yours was smoking crack, and you're like, okay, that's ridiculous. And then you heard it from two more people. You'd have to stop and ask yourself some questions, all right? That's what I'm saying. That's the word on the street.
Brian Caraway, he's got this pattern of making more questionable statements than Michael Richards. I mean, this guy, he's just a stupid sack of shit. I've hated him ever since the Ronda Rousey comments came out. I mean, you need to get some thick skin and, not let things like that get to you. Regarding his remarks specifically about Pat Healy, though, he's just the worst kind of douchebag. I hate weed. I've never smoked drugs. I don't like it at all. I've never tried it. Just what a fucking idiot. This guy, really, I think he's like a Josh Koscheck. People just want to see him fight because they want to see him get knocked out so bad. I despise the kid. I think when the Rousey thing came out, I probably threw some threats at him on Twitter. And I tell you what, I'd still fuck that motherfucker to this day. It wouldn't even be fair. I dominate the kid. It's really an unfair match. It would never get sanctioned by the State Athletic Commission. Just the discrepancy in size and skill that favors me. It would be a quick fight. I'd fucking wreck that fool. Fuck Brian Caraway.
Hell yeah!
I'm with Jay. I don't really mind him. He's never. I didn't hear his comments that he made against Ronda Rousey, but I mean they are bad. But you get lots of talk with the fighters, and obviously he's going to stick up for his girlfriend. That's just part and parcel, isn't it? But his last fight I thought was good. Not really bothered about what comments he makes outside the cage personally. Yeah, so I'm with Jay really. I'm not really that fussed. It doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, talk about being polarizing. We have two people. I mean, we're really on two opposite sides of the spectrum. I don't think anybody, even his mom, likes Brian Caraway. So you're either going to be on the side of you don't mind, whatever, or you fucking despise this cat. I mean, look, I have no problem with people saying, yeah, I don't think I would ever want to do weed. I've never done weed, but it doesn't interest me. It's just not my thing. I respect the shit out of people who say that. But people who say, oh, if you've ever done it, you're a loser, and I hate it, and I despise people who do it, and I've never done it. That's as stupid as saying you're the, you know how to raise a kid, yet you've never had a kid. You can't put that kind of judgment on something you're not familiar with. Look, I'm not gonna stand here and tell you what it's like to be a Chinese rice farmer, because I'm not a fucking Chinese rice farmer, and I've never farmed fucking rice, and that was kind of racist, and I'm sorry, but that's the first thing that pops up in my mind as far as a crazy breaking news, the first time racism has ever come across on the round table. No, but I mean, anything you're not familiar with, you don't have the right to judge and say, oh, you're stupid for doing this, you're stupid for doing that. Especially if this really fucked up Pat Healy, but a lot of people, weed isn't like heroin. When you're on weed, you aren't in the fucking alleys next to trash cans shooting up. No, a lot of people can balance it. This is going to continue to be an issue. I'm actually looking at Pat Healy's Twitter now, and it's pretty funny. His most recent tweet is a response to MMA Roasted. MMA Roasted said, Pat Healy said he learned his lesson, will no longer smoke weed, and will instead take TRT. And Healy responded with a LMFAO, which is pretty funny. But yeah, it's funny how some guys literally are allowed to pump testosterone into their bodies, and they don't get any sort of fine. It's legal. It's an exemption. You're allowed to do it. Yet you take a few hits off a joint a week before the fight, and all of a sudden you're getting $130,000 taken away from you. You drive drunk and crash into a light pole, nothing. It's a goddamn shame. Fuck William Randolph Hearst, and we will move on. I know this is a touchy issue for three of us. Mark Hunt stuck in New Zealand off of a prior arrest, I believe from 2002. Just one of those bizarre things you hear when it comes to people crossing borders. Every now and then someone gets held up off on some bullshit priors, and that's what happened. Mark Hunt still held up in New Zealand. The fight is in, I believe, a week and 2 days. It's going to be May 25th, UFC 160. And Hunt's still stuck in New Zealand. The UFC is confident they'll be able to get him out, but they have booked Roy Nelson as a replacement, which you got to respect. Roy Nelson, I mean, accepting a potential short notice fight against Junior Dos Santos, what a fucking G. But he is stuck in New Zealand. Ramses, do you think Mark Hunt is going to be able to make it to the USA in time?
No, man, I think this shit's all over if it doesn't go down today. If he's not on a plane today, he's not going to be. And they're going to have to call it. Yeah, basically, it's looking like some palms didn't get greased here. All they needed to do is kick up some money to the right people. I don't know who didn't do it. Mark Hunt, the UFC, New Zealand. I don't know. Something's going on here that we're not privy to, but trust me, it's some dirty-ass shit that could have been solved with money in the right hands under the table. That's the goddamn real word on the street. But yeah, he's not going to make it. I think this shit's over.
I have to agree again with Ramses. I mean, the flight from New Zealand alone, I mean, you're going to kill well over a day on that flight. So, I mean, let's make that 9 days, 8 days. To get into the United States, to get acclimated, I just don't think it'll happen. Every now and then in the U.S., Uncle Dana, he's got some juice. He'll chuck some cash at a situation, and problems just kind of go away. It didn't happen with the Jeremy Stevens arrest. I highly doubt that happens here with the Mark Hunt arrest being in a whole other country. I don't think New Zealand is going to operate the same way the U.S. does. Just throw some money at the problem, it'll go away. I think, sadly, I would not be surprised if this gets scrapped. I'm thinking it does. God bless Roy Nelson for signing up for another savage-ass whooping at the hands of Dos Santos. That takes balls.
It's just a travesty, especially with it being such an old warrant, and he's been in the US so many times since. It just seems silly that it's been raised now. Listening to the conference call, and I know Ramses was listening to the call as well, UFC seemed confident, Mark Hunt didn't seem confident. And like Ramsey just said as well, and I think Patrick touched on it as well, he needs to acclimatise when he comes over here. Coming over here a few days out is no good. He's not going to be fighting at his best if he's not acclimatised to the time zone and all of that from New Zealand to the US. So I don't know. I really think this fight's going to be scrapped, which is an absolute tragedy, especially when Hunt was a replacement for somebody else that pulled out. It's just obviously over him. It's just such a mess. If Nelson steps up, I mean, Nelson looked great in his last fight, but I think it would go the same way as the first time they fought personally. But I'd love to see Nelson do it. I love Roy Nelson.
There are questions whenever you got an issue like this. I mean, it's not the responsibility of the UFC to get him out. I don't know the situation. Is he still in holding? You know, I only really know the law in the UK, and in the UK you can only hold someone for a maximum amount of time. So maybe this thing will get worked out. If Mark Hunt's not confident, though, maybe he knows something back that we don't know. Fair play to Roy Nelson for stepping up. As was mentioned pretty much earlier in the year, Roy Nelson's only been working his stand-up since 2009. So you take that into perspective, every year or even every day he trains, I mean, I doubt he even trains properly, to be fair, but every day he trains, he's going to get a little bit better. And the sad reality is he is very good as it is, just with power alone. I mean, you think about his only knockout loss, or even really severe loss in recent memory, was that one to Arlovsky. And this guy's, if he's keep on training and striking like he has been doing, anything can happen in an MMA fight. And although Junior Dos Santos likes to play this game of, you know, we're going to stand in the pocket and Sue's got the better chin, against Roy Nelson, that's never a smart move. And I think this time Roy Nelson's not going to weigh 265 £. It will be a nice fight, but will the visa issue get sorted? Oh, damn, I hope so. God damn.
Yeah, Nelson. A lot of people who train with him say he has very underrated cardio. He does have a surprising amount of gas in his tank for what kind of shape he is in. But yeah, he is getting better. But like Patrick said, if you saw the first stanza of Nelson versus Junior Dos Santos, I don't think 10 years of training stand-up can change the result of that. You just have a guy in incredible shape who is maybe the best boxer in the heavyweight class against a guy who's just sort of plodding. And yeah, he could knock out Junior maybe 1 out of every 10 times. That overhand right he throws is dangerous, but Dos Santos just has better footwork. He's going to be in the pocket when he wants. He's going to control the pace of the fight, and that's going to be huge. Last issue before we get to guess that tweet, Anderson Silva saying that the Nogueira brothers kept him from retiring after Pride. It was a pretty interesting story. We all know if Anderson would have retired after Pride, he sort of would have gone down in history as a good fighter, but he wouldn't have been close to the discussion for greatest of all time. He had losses. He was kind of just another guy in Pride. And it was after Pride when he went to Europe and fought in Cage Rage or King of the Cage, Rage Cage, whatever the fuck it was called. He got good as fuck. And then he came over to the UFC, and obviously his UFC career has put him in the forefront of the discussion of the greatest fighter of all time. So, you know, we know the story of Anderson's past, but what does his future look like? How much longer will he continue to dominate the sport of mixed martial arts?
Jake, I think Anderson will continue to dominate for quite some time. I think the only thing that can even slow what he's doing right now is if he were to face John Jones and lose in some sort of devastating fashion. We've seen Anderson Silva's opponents have something similar happen. You look at James Irvin. James Irvin was a badass before he fought Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva knocks him out, and now he's fucking fighting in an arm wrestling league or some shit. I mean, he's the kind of fighter that just destroys people and leaves them with as terrible shell of their former selves. And I think John Jones has the potential to do that. I think Anderson Silva has the best shot over anyone to beat John Jones. In fact, I may even pick Anderson Silva to beat John Jones, but for me, that's the only thing that can slow his dominance. If he stays at 185, Weidman is the next best threat, and even then, as much as I love Weidman and want to say he could do it, Anderson's just looked too good. 16-0, you can't bet against this guy. I'm thinking this thing just goes on perpetually.
Ray?
With regards to Anderson Silva, if Anderson Silva had left after Pride, no one would even know who he was. I mean, I watched Pride, and I watched it from start to finish, and he did not stand out in Pride. I remember him having one really impressive knockout win over Carlos Newton with a flying knee. But other than that, he had some crazy losses. I mean, you remember him losing to like a scissor hold leg lock. It was ridiculous against some unknown Japanese fighter who went on to fight in the UFC, and he was terrible. I think it was Rio Chonan. It was a very strange loss, but there was a lot of rigging in Pride as well. Anderson Silva was not one of the guys who stood out in Pride. If he'd have gone then, no one would even know who he was. He wouldn't even be mentioned. Not even as a good fighter, he wouldn't be mentioned at all. But what he's gone on to do in the UFC is obviously phenomenal. Going forward, I mean, as long as he keeps fighting the way he's fighting, people are going to want to see him. There's still some big tough tests coming up though. I mean, John Jones and Chris Weidman are both going to be tough fights if he ever does the John Jones fight. But yeah, as long as he keeps performing like that, there's no reason for him to leave. I mean, it's hard to imagine or hard to believe that he is the age he's at when he's so phenomenal in the cage.
I think Jay left the call. Right? Yeah.
All right, well, I'll carry the torch for you, Jay Jeans. Let me tell you something about Anderson Silva, people. When he walked out to face Chael Sonnen at UFC 148, Anderson Silva was in tears because he knew that he was finally going to be exposed for what he really is, and it was all over for his fucking career. Unfortunately, Chael Sonnen did slip on the blood of Forrest Griffin. That cost him the fight. The infamous Westland windup didn't land. It was, 99.9% of the time it does land, 100% of the time that time it didn't, all right? But Anderson Silva, look, guys, it is all over for him. He's picking and choosing his opponents the last few years. He hasn't beaten anybody of any significance except for Chael, just, flukes. I don't believe the hype anymore. I don't think he's as good as people say or think. Honestly, I don't think he's going to fight Weidman. I don't think that fight's going to happen. I won't believe it until they're in the ring together. Something nuts is going to go down, or they're going to, they're going to get Chris Weidman to take a dive and throw the fight. But Anderson Silva, it's all over. It's just a matter of time. Somebody take this bum out. That's all I have to say about it.
Really quickly, before we get Jay's thought, he's back on the call. Ramses, if Silva Weidman does happen, do you have Weidman beating Silva?
No, the poor kid, man. They're gonna be like, look, that house that got flooded, destroyed in Hurricane Sandy. How would you like to own 3 houses in your life, not just repair the one with this win money? You know what I'm saying? They're going to give him an offer he can't refuse. He will take a dive. He's going to let Anderson work him over, look good. And, yep, we are going to see another work. The champion is going to just live on. He is signing an 8 to 10 fight deal or something like that. So, come on. Let's just read between the lines, people. He is not going to lose to Chris Weidman. That's the word on the street.
Word on the street. Jay?
Man, the whole Chris Weidman versus Anderson Silva, we're going to be debating this till every minute till it comes up. I'm going to write a blog on it for MMA Mentor. If Chris Weidman can't pull this off, I don't think a man in the division can, to be honest. If you look at the division...
Wow, Jay, we cannot make out anything you're saying. Your connection is getting absolutely horrible there. Try again. Yeah, Jay, I don't know what you've got to do with your internet, but you got really robotic there. Oh, it looks like Ray has dropped out of the call. Is anyone else still here? All right, it looks like I'm going to have to take control of this motherfucker and call everyone up myself. We do have Ray over in the United Kingdom who every now and then his connection is a wee bit shaky. I think I'm adding everyone back. Ramses, Jay, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I think that was actually on Ray's end because he started getting a little shaky after your connection was shaky. But start back at the top at what you think about Anderson Silva and how long he's going to be able to stay in the game.
I don't know how long he's going to stay in the game. Maybe he's supposedly trying to get this 10 fight contract going on, but to be honest, unless Chris Weidman can beat him, nobody in that 185 division is going to do it. I mean, you've got Boach, you've got Munoz. Those are the only two other real wrestlers. If anybody can take him down and lie on him, it's going to be Weidman. Weidman was able to ragdoll Munoz, but then you've got to consider nobody's going to be able to outstrike him. No grapplers out there as in jiu-jitsu guys. The 10 fight doesn't interest me unless he's going up or down a weight class, just out of personal opinion.
For sure, and we will move straight on to guess that tweet. Actually, first we had someone tweet in. We're not taking callers. Oops, I just knocked the fucking headset off my head. That was smooth. We are not taking callers because it is the roundtable. We got 5 people on. It gets confusing enough already, but we will read your tweets on air, like our buddy Brandon, one of our favorite listeners of the show. It's Surfer Guy 7979. Go ahead and follow that motherfucker. He said, when it comes to Anderson Silva, Forrest said it best. He makes good people look bad. And that statement says it all. And it's really true. I mean, Forrest is not a bad fighter. Forrest is an elite MMA fighter. I mean, he's a former champion at one of the most storied, weight classes in the UFC. Anderson Silva walked in there and made him look like a chump. He makes lots of people look like a chump. And, Brandon Bell bringing that Forrest Griffin quote that really is pretty poignant. We will move to guess that tweet. Ray is the host this week. Hopefully our friend Jay Jeans will decide not to cheat. Ray, it's all you.
Jay, did you get the answers that I sent you earlier on Facebook?
No, I'm just getting them up now. I should be okay.
No one else heard that today?
Yeah.
Right. So we're playing Guess That Tweet. We've got 5 tweets. We'll do 4. If we need number 5 as a tiebreaker, we'll do it as a tiebreaker. If we don't need it, we'll do it anyway for fun. Okay, tweet number 1. Regardless if you agree with weed being a ped, or not, it's against the rules. Don't like the rules, don't play the game, or suffer the repercussions. Is it A, Smiling Sam Alvey, B, Ulysses Gomez, C, Michael Bisping, or D, Colin Fletcher?
I've never seen Colin Fletcher even tweet, but I know he's got an account. I need to follow that guy. Maybe it's him. I'm going to go with Colin Fletcher.
Alright, who out of this group's the biggest mark? Who do I like the least? Smiling Sam Alvey.
Who's choice B? Second choice after Alvey.
Ulysses Gomez.
I'll go with him.
Yeah, this can't be Ulysses. That's my boy. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and copy Jake because he does have a deal with the devil. I'm going to say it's Smiling Sam Alvey.
Okay. It was not Michael Bisping, and it was not the freak show Colin Fletcher. And nobody was smiling over Sam Alvey. It was the useless one, Ulysses Gomez.
Ramses with the point.
Nice.
Go Ramses. Okay, tweet number 2. I finally took care of all the hacker problem here on my Twitter. No more weird weight loss tweets. Okay? Was it Igor Araujo, Scott Jorgensen, Diego Sanchez, or Forrest Griffin?
Fuck, that is a tough lineup there. I'll go ahead and say Scott Jorgensen.
I need the choices one more time, sir.
Igor Araujo, who was on Tough 15, Scott Jorgensen, Diego Sanchez, or Forrest Griffin.
I'll go with Forrest Griffin. He's got me on block, so I never see anything he says.
Hey, I do apologize, but somebody was tweeting me telling me to stop the music. I'm like, I just tweeted back and I'm like, dude, we do this every week. Or what? Like, cut out the music. Like, damn, I guess we have a new show producer on Twitter. No, I'm giving him shit. Follow him on Twitter at Joey Diaz fan. We appreciate everyone who tweets in. But would you go ahead and reread me that tweet in the People, because I was kind of scratching my head.
I finally took care of all the hacker problem here on my Twitter. No more weird weight loss tweets. Was it Igor Araujo, Scott Jorgensen, Diego Sanchez, or Forrest Griffin?
I'm assuming Jake's up, not me.
Oh, son of a bitch! I was tweeted, and while I was talking, goddamn. Yeah, I'll take Forrest Griffin. This pick of mine has been a train wreck enough as it is.
I know who it is because I've even got a message from them once saying it. So it's Diego Sanchez, boys.
Jay, you little cheat! It is no drama needed. It is Diego Sanchez.
I unfollowed that dude because he sent me like 4 of them. I was like, what are you doing? Like,
he's obviously been hacked. Okay, tweet number 3. So we're at 1-1 between Jay and Ramses. Tweet number 3. No joke. At The Office NBC is kind of for me. I feel like that.
Your Skype failed there. Would you start again at the beginning? Oh no, did Ray's Skype crash again? I think Ray may have crashed.
Shit.
Ray, are you with us?
Man, we can't be doing this.
Ray,
I think I win, right?
No, yeah, Ray crashed again, so we'll, I guess, pick up at round 3. Jay has a point, Ramses has a point, myself and Patrick have 0 points. This is definitely a new thing to happen on the MMA podcast. The host loses the connection halfway through.
It's like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. The lights just turning off. This is going to give Jay a chance to relax and come back and win the game in his cheating style.
I'm calling bullshit, man. I was gonna win, and then all of a sudden Ray just disappears off the face of the internet. I ain't buying it. I'm calling fucking work.
He hasn't sent me the answers, so he's gonna go do that now. Oh, so that's what's happening.
All right, so I guess we will put a quick pause on the tweet game and get back to the news, because there's really nothing we can do tweet game wise with Ray out of it. Yeah, and Joey, he is back. And really quick before I start the music back, our buddy Joey Diaz fan just tweeted back. Oh shit, so much reverb. Turn that shit down, Ray. Holy fuck, get it together, cocksucker. Jesus. No, he tweeted, better, sorry for breaking balls, thanks for the free entertainment, boys. We enjoyed doing it. Thank you for tweeting in, and if you want to tweet us, that's at the MMA Podcast. Ray is back, so I'll cue back up the music. It's all you, buddy.
Right, is this working properly or not? Because I'm on my phone now, because my computer keeps crashing.
You actually sound better than you did before.
Is that reverb gone?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I heard myself say, yes, son of a bitch.
Okay, what I'll do, when I finish talking, I'll mute. Right, tweet number 3. No joke, at The Office NBC is kinda a safety blanket for me. Whenever I feel like crap or have a bad day, I watch the show. Sad to see it go. Is it A, Eric Koch, B, Anthony Pettis, C, Sergio Pettis, or D, Luke Rufus?
Man, is it me first? Could you read the names? I have absolutely no idea.
It is Eric Koch, Anthony Pettis, Sergio Pettis and Duke Rufus.
I'm going to go with Pettis.
There's two of them, smart guy.
Yeah, two Pettises.
I'll go with
Anthony
Pettis. I'll go with Anthony then.
I'm trying to think. I think it's out of the Pettises and Rufus because they all train together and whatnot. Who needs a safety blanket the most? I know Sergio Pettis weighs 125 pounds, so he probably gets cold very easily. He's probably most in need of a blanket, so I'll say Sergio Pettis.
And I'll go with Doof Ruckus.
Patrick?
Well, I'll go ahead. I'll take Garrett Koch. I think he needs a little security blanket after that devastating setback he suffered at the hands of Ricardo Lamas. So I'll go with the new breed, Garrett Koch.
It's worth noting that they all train together. They all train at Duke Rufus, which is why I put them all together. Right, it was not Duke Rufus, and it was not Anthony Pettis.
What?
And it was not Sergio Pettis. So it's 1-1-1 between Ramses, Jay, and Patrick.
Yes, how you like it now?
Yeah, Jake. You can suck it.
Let me go last on this final one so I can pick something different than the rest of them.
Okay. It's tweet number 4 then. The UFC bonuses are usually 50k. Caraway got them up to 65k for that event. He should take the difference and give the rest to Healy. Was it A, Jim Miller, B, Eric Koch, C, Ulysses Gomez, or D, Gerald Harris?
Ooh, this is a interesting selection. For this one, you know what? I'm going to go with Jim Miller, just because Jim Miller, he's a classy bastard. I love those Miller brothers. This sounds like something he would say, classy in defeat. I'm going Jim Miller.
Total shot in the dark, Gerald Harris.
Yeah, I have to say that Ulysses Gomez we already had earlier, so maybe it's... I'll go with Jim Miller as well. Patrick summed it up quite nicely.
So who has not been picked yet?
Not been picked so far. Eric Koch and Ulysses Gomez.
Ooh, two answers you've used before. I'll go with... Well, Ulysses Gomez was the one who tweeted out that thing about being really anti-pot, so I guess I'll go with Coke. Pro Coke.
Okay. It was not Gerald Harris. It was not Jim Miller. And it was not Eric Koch.
Oh, son of a bitch! I was that close! Ah!
That means I've made the tiebreaker. So there's 3 on one, and me on there as well. So what we'll do is you'll all pick one answer each, and I'll have whatever answers left.
Do I go first, or who goes first?
You go first.
Nice.
Pick now, without being read, the answers.
Right, are you ready?
I haven't even heard the question.
Week number 5. Tiebreaker between everyone apart from Jay. Right, tweet number 5. At MMA Roasted, what if Caraway was his dealer? Was it A, Ulysses Gomez, B, Chael Sonnen, C, Michael Bisping, and D, Gerald Harris?
I'm going to go with my same answer as before, Gerald Harris.
Christ. What was answer A?
Sorry, A, Ulysses Gomez, B,
No.
Chael Sonnen, or C, Michael Bisping?
Yeah, I'll go with A, just because the other one's already been taken. A, whoever the hell it was, useless.
Patrick, you've got a choice between Chael Sonnen and Michael Bisping.
Damn. You know what? I was probably going to go with Harris as well. Jay, you're getting lucky with that first pick, cocksucker. I'm going to go with Uncle Chael on this one.
Okay, so that leaves me with Michael Bisping. It was not Michael Bisping. It was not Ulysses Gomez, and it was not Chael Sonnen. It was Gerald Harris. Jay, again.
How can I cheat? I only got 2 right.
Yeah.
All right, well, I have kicked Jay from the call. Jay is no longer on the Skype call and will no longer be on any more roundtable shows. I've kicked him off for good, ladies and gentlemen, because he's proved himself to be a cheater.
It's disgusting.
Did the call did we get hacked or something because I won again?
No, I kicked you off the call.
Are you kicking me off again or what?
Yeah, we're going to kick you off the rest of the show. No, Jay, you know what, you son of a bitch. I think you may have actually deserved that one. So give us your stupid victory speech, and we'll get on with this goddamn show, you son of a bitch.
Look, I've had so many victories speeches, I'm not even prepared for this. I may as well write one for next week because you guys are all so bad.
All right, I cut him back off the call. Once again, Jay will not be giving his victory speech. We will, you know, it was actually kind of funny because I was expecting Jay not to lose, and I was going to give him shit for making himself lose on purpose to make it look like he's not a cheater, but apparently he's too daft to even realize that you gotta make yourself lose every now and then, Jay. Come on.
It's this. I don't even know how to respond to that. I got 2 right. Anybody could have beaten me. Even Ray. Ray could have won this round, and he wasn't even playing technically. You guys shouldn't let me go first. That was your own undoing.
Jay, you're a part of the Illuminati. I'm sure of it. All right. We will move on to a little bit of news, a few fight announcements. Speaking of fight announcements, the fight that's been sort of dangled over our heads but hasn't been made out yet, Wanderlei Silva taking on Chael Sonnen. Neither guys have accepted, but the amount of trash talking going on between the two, I think many people are expecting to see Chael take on Wanderlei. A war words, Chael put forth a 24-hour notice. Wanderlei did not make it in the 24 hours. Wanderlei said that he wanted to suck Chael Sonnen's blood. He wanted to smell Chael Sonnen's blood. I don't know what that does for him. Sonnen said he's not going to be signing any contracts to let Wanderlei suck any of his appendages. I really don't want to talk much about the trash talk, other than the fact that what kind of insult is somebody's firing up like a lawnmower right outside my window. That's awesome. But Wanderlei says he wants to smell Chael Sonnen's blood. What kind of insult is that? And if he does fight Chael, does he have a chance in hell to beat him?
To be fair, we say what kind of insult was that. Let's be honest with you, this isn't the best Wanderlei Silva insult. We've had better. Do you not remember what the insult was when he fought Chuck Liddell?
I want to fuck. I want to fight Chuck. Fuck Chuck.
I want to fuck Chuck. So, I mean, he likes to fuck Chuck. He likes to suck blood. I mean, yeah. To be fair, I'm more than happy to see this fight. I think this will be a great fight. Does Wanderlei Silva have a chance? That guy always has a chance. Did you not watch his last fight against Brian Stan? We all know what Sonnen's going to do. We all know how good Sonnen is and how effective he is. But if Silva starts landing with punches and knees, especially in the Muay Thai clinch, especially when he's going for the takedown, you can never ever count out Wanderlei Silva. And of course, I know we've got some true Chael Sonnen lovers on this show, but I'd love to see Wanderlei pull off the upset. I know I'm going to get grilled for it, but I'd love it. I'd love it if he won. I'd just love it.
All right, we got it the first time you said it, cocksucker.
I don't know what's going on with this fight. I mean, it's 2 guys who should be fighting at 185, fighting at 205, but whatever. The insult. The insult's it's a good start. If you're gonna turn into a Chael Sonnen replica, you gotta start somewhere. As for the fight itself, I don't really know. I think Sonnen takes him down and grinds on him, but we haven't really seen Wanderlei grinded on before, so maybe he's got some defense for that. But right now, I'm just picking Sonnen by UD, and Sonnen's always going to come up with the better insults.
People, Wanderlei Silva is a fucking bum. You have to understand that. This is a true story. The confrontation with Chael Sonnen that happened in the van was in my city of Austin, Texas. And look, this is actually true. I got this from the driver. I got it from the man himself, the people's champ himself. Vanderlei Silva had to use a cane that entire day to get around. He hobbled into that van. He was on a damn cane. The fight with Brian Stann was a work. Brian Stann took a dive on purpose. Vanderlei had to win in Japan for the fans. All right, that's the nature of the business. All right, sometimes you gotta eat one. Sometimes you just gotta do it. But mark my words, Vanderlei is a bum. He is trying to duck Chael, but the fans ain't gonna let it happen. The UFC is not gonna let it happen, and the Warrior from Westland definitely isn't gonna let that shit happen. That's the word on the street.
I love this insult from Vanderlei Silva. It's definitely an ESL insult. English is a second language. It's just comedy. I mean, everybody loves Vanderlei Silva, but it's not for his trash talk. Everybody just loves to see him fight. Everybody wants to see the axe murderer do what he does best, and that's rape, choke a fool, and knock him out like he did against Keith Jardine. Everybody just wants to see another savaging from the axe murderer. He needs to work on that trash talk a little bit. Fortunately, he doesn't really need the exposure. Everybody knows who the fuck Vanderlei Silva is. Everybody loves the guy because when he gets into that ring, he's putting it all on the line. So he needs to work on the mic skills a little bit, but it's not hurting him too bad. And definitely hope we could see this fight come to fruition.
Yeah, we actually just got a tweet as well from our buddy, The Electric Pilgrims at Joey Diaz fan. He says, that guy is a shame to my nation. # Team Darkside. Not sure which guy he was referring to. I'm assuming Vanderlei if he's doing the # Team Darkside afterwards. And we all know he would be ashamed to America, not Brazil, because he is an American. He lives in Las Vegas. He preaches all this stuff. Oh, Chael, you know to talk about my home country. Dude, I don't think you've been to Brazil in like a decade. You live in Vegas, buddy. But the next 3 things we're going to talk about actually are all
he has been to Brazil because he's been on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil. So that's
well,
sure.
I'm pretty sure that was a hologram of him. If someone obviously isn't watching it on a 92-inch Super HD television, where I could tell that he was actually a hologram or an actor. It was one of the two, but it wasn't Vanderlei Silva. God damn it. Joe Lauzon taking on Michael Johnson at UFC on Fox Sports 1, August 17th in Boston. Who you got? And if Michael Johnson loses, should he be cut? I think Jay and I were talking about it recently. No. It was actually, I think, our buddy Brandon at SurferGuy7979 who tweeted us, between Joe and Michael Johnson, you think there's a chance the loser gets cut? There's a slim chance for Michael Johnson. I don't think there's any chance in hell they cut Joe. Jay Lau is one of the most tenacious fighters in the UFC, and I think he's going to be one of these guys who spends his whole career in the UFC. When he retires, it's going to be from the UFC. But who you got? Jay Lau versus Michael Johnson. I think, if you look at it on paper, I say Joe Lauzon has a slight edge, but if you look at the heart in both of these guys, there's no way Jay Lau loses this fight. He's a fucking beast, and I have him beating Michael Johnson in his hometown of Boston. Jay?
You have a finisher and you have a decisionist. In this one, you got to favour the finisher. If it's on the feet, he'll be able to rock him. As soon as he's rocked him, Michael Johnson will go for a sloppy takedown that will end up giving Joe Lauzon a good position from the bottom, and he'll get subbed out.
Yeah, this sounds like a total layup fight for Joe. Looks like they're just lining this guy up. This is one of those things where, if Joe loses, if Lauzon loses, his job is safe. If Johnson loses, though, he's leaving town. So that should tell you all you need to know. Make your bets. This is Lauzon's to lose, basically. It's a gimme fight for him. Word on the street.
Yeah, this is definitely this is a tune-up for J-Lo. Watch the odds on this one. If Lauzon comes in minus 200 or anywhere around that area, I say just do the cash dump, do the P-Money patented cash dump. I do not see how Michael Johnson could beat him. Johnson was looking good there for a little bit, but he hasn't faced the competition that Lozon has, and I think he would fare a lot worse against a lot of the competition that Lozon has faced. This is going to be I don't want to say an easy fight for Lozon. I mean, I like Michael Johnson. I don't want to throw the guy under the fucking bus, but Lozon should be able to work some magic in this fight and get a nice victory, possibly even a little brutal finish.
Lozon and Michael Johnson, they're leagues apart, in my opinion. I mean, Joe Lozon is one of those guys that's in and around just the outside of the top 10, either just in or just outside the top 10. Michael Johnson's probably a top 30 or top 40 guy. I mean, Joe Lozon, if I'm right, his last fight was against Jim Miller. I mean, that fight was just absolutely epic. I mean, it was one of the best fights. Obviously, people are talking about it as one of the best fights of the year. Michael Johnson's last fight against Razor, he was expected to win, and he just didn't. I don't know. He just didn't turn up for that fight at all. Not to take anything away from Razor because he had a great performance. But yeah, this is a tune-up fight for Joe. If Joe loses, his career's UFC job's not in danger. I mean, this guy's done so much for the UFC, put on so many great fights, win or lose. You know, he was part of the cast from Tough 5. And obviously he was a standout on that show. Even before he went on that show, he'd knocked out former UFC lightweight champion and obviously one of the coaches. Yeah, J-Lo's here for a long time. He'll like I think Jake said, he'll retire from the UFC. He'll be one of them that retires from the UFC, and that'll be it. He won't move anywhere else because he's too good. I wouldn't be surprised to see Michael Johnson get cut. He's been on a strange run now. I mean, he lost to Miles Jury, he lost to Razor. Yeah, I think if he loses this, he could be cut because he's had some good fights, but he's one of them fighters that can sometimes be a little bit boring to watch. But he has got knockout power, though. I mean, we saw what he did to Danny Castillo, so there's always that danger as well. But yeah, I'd be picking Lozon either round 1 or round 2 sub. Lozon comes out very aggressive, and I'd see him getting a submission in either the first round or the second round.
Yeah, Joe is very well versed on the ground. Michael Johnson has 8 losses. 6 of those are by submission, including his most recent one this past April to Reza Medidi. That was by Darce choke. If he loses to Lozon, it'll be his 3rd loss in a row. And you know, we've had guys survive 4 in a row. So I think if Johnson lost this one, he then would be 1 fight away from getting cut. A couple more issues of fights being announced. Brandon Vera and Ben Rothwell will fight each other at UFC 164 in Milwaukee at heavyweight. Brandon Vera moving back up. Who you got? Ramsey, who you got?
Oh shit! I apologize, people. Yeah, Vera versus Rothwell. Oh, that's why I didn't chime in immediately. I don't give a shit. Brandon Vera versus Ben Rothwell. When was their last fight? Didn't Vera fight Shogun last? Was that the last time? That was all right, I guess, but only because wasn't the big story that he didn't immediately get his ass whooped, and so all of a sudden Brandon Vera's the hero and he's back. No, I ain't buying it, so fuck it. I'll go with Rothwell. I'll go with that fucking guy. P Money, what do you got? Stack those chips.
Yeah, this is a fight to call just because it's one of those ones. I mean, who do you pick? Brandon Vera, who's been up and down. I mean, he's been cut from the UFC and brought back. A guy who had so much potential and has just looked like a can as of late. Versus the guy Ben Rothwell, who's pretty much always looked like a can and really has no discernible level of expertise in mixed martial arts. I mean, what the fuck does Ben Rothwell do? He's not a super good striker. He doesn't seem to be a real efficient grappler. He looks like he's gotten his ass in shape, which is great, but I mean, what the fuck? I think I see Brandon Vera knocking him the fuck out here. At least I certainly hope so. Not even because I like Brandon Vera, just because I fucking hate this fight and I want to see somebody get knocked the fuck out.
The strange thing with Brandon Vera was, I remember when he debuted in the UFC and he was at heavyweight, and everyone always said he was an undersized heavyweight, but he never ever looked good at light heavy, and yet he was explosive at heavy, and he looked good at heavy, and he beat he beat the guys he needs to beat.
He had a dubious loss to Verdum, which was an early stoppage. Then he lost a decision to Tim Sylvia, but he broke his hand early on in the fight. But dropping down to light heavy was the worst thing he ever did, because he spent his whole career there, and he seemed to lose his explosiveness. Versus Ben Rothwell. We all know Ben Rothwell's going to have the size on him. Ben Rothwell, if he gets hold of him, will probably have the strength advantage. But Rothwell's cardio looks terrible, and if Brandon Vera stands outside of him and throws those leg kicks, I can see him chopping Rothwell down. I'll be picking Vera to win this fight. I think he'll get a knockout. As Rothwell gets tired, he'll knock Rothwell out. But regardless, again, I mean, you look at this fight and you pick it based on who looks worse. Ben Rothwell looks worse, so we'll pick Ben Rothwell to lose.
Jay, whenever you hear a long silence on the MMA Roundtable, you know it's Jay's turn to talk. Is he completely out of the call? Oh, looks like he is. Standard. Oh wait, no, he isn't. Oh wait, no, he is still on the call. Jay, unmute yourself, motherfucker, and talk. You son of a bitch.
This guy's an embarrassment.
This guy's an embarrassment to the podcast. He's an embarrassment to his country, his family. He's an embarrassment to MMA Mental. Ray, I'm sorry. Sorry you've got to put up with it. We will move on to another matchup. The last matchup we talk about before we get to the bonehead of the week. And first I guess I should put my own 2 cents in. Vera will probably beat Rothwell, even though he lost against Shogun. It was the best performance of his career. He did threaten Hua at times, even though really the thing he showed in that fight was just an iron will and an iron chin. He should have gotten murdered multiple times. But Overeem versus an unknown opponent at UFC 164. Most people are predicting that it's rumored to be Travis Brown. He'll probably take on Brown. So 2 questions. If it is Reem versus Brown, who you got? And do you expect Overeem to come out like he did before the Bigfoot fight looking unbelievable? Or is he going to come out flat on his feet again like he did against Bigfoot Silva?
You know what, Jake? I think Alistair Overeem, he's going to come out looking like the Demolition Man in true form. And you want to know why? It's because the truth came out recently. Alistair, he can't fucking duck it anymore. He can't hide the facts. He is a fucking steroid cheat. What happened with his last drug test that he took in the UFC? If I'm not mistaken, he passed. But he passed because his testosterone was so dangerously low. I mean, a low level that would just indicate a serious, terrible, probably life-threatening illness in a human being. Now, what would cause a man who's 6'4", built like a fucking brick shit house, 265 pure pounds of muscle? How does a guy get that fucking big and yet have no testosterone in his body? Oh, yeah, because he's fucking doping the entire time, and now his body can't make it anymore naturally. That's my hypothesis. Of course, this isn't a fact, but I mean, it might as well be. Read between the fucking lines, people. Overeem's juiced to the fucking gills. He's going to get his TRT. He's going to have a nice little 6-to-1 ratio he can work with, so he can have 6 times the testosterone of a normal human man, which is about, I'm sure, what he's running on anyway. So he's going to come out looking good. Fuck, if it is Travis Brown, that's a bad night for Travis Brown when you're fighting Overroyd. So, I think he'll come out looking good unless he didn't learn a fucking thing from getting knocked the fuck out.
I think he come out against Silva looking good, but he was overconfident and he was cocky. And the longer the fight went on, obviously, the more he kind of let Silva into it. But I didn't see any way Silva could win. So, and I'm thinking the same again. I don't see any way that Travis Brown can win, but I was wrong last time. But if Overeem comes back the way we know what he can do, then I see him getting an early knockout. I mean, he when he's on it, he looks like an absolute beast. And I don't think Brown's going to want to take too many shots from Silva. I'll be picking probably Overeem, round 1 knockout. I think I'll be picking for that fight.
Who's up? Oh, of course, it's Jay. Wow.
Yeah,
Jay,
sorry guys.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
My Skype.
What the fuck?
My Skype's been as bad as you guys had guessed that tweet is all I'm going to say. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm pretty confident he's fighting Travis Brown. I'm not sure whether that's confirmed, but yeah. Overeem, you get knocked out by Bigfoot Silva. I am still waiting for Dana White to come out of nowhere and say this is a big fat joke, and Bigfoot Silva's been injured for the last few months and Kane is actually fighting Verdum, because I still don't believe this fight's actually happening. But yeah, and if Bigfoot knocked out Overeem, what a joker Overeem is, man. He plays some funny jokes just like old Dana White.
Yeah, Overeem did learn his fucking lesson. He came into that fucking fight too confident, too cocky. And yeah, he got clocked by Bigfoot Silva. That is pretty damn embarrassing. I remember I was watching it, man. I felt bad. Like, I was even embarrassed for some reason. Just because, like, everyone expected that one to be a layup. So, basically, Overeem, he's going to do his homework. He's not going to make the same mistake again, hopefully. And the UFC knows they want to keep Overeem up there because he sells the fucking pay-per-views. So, Overeem will get another layup fight. That's why we're even talking about it right now. I mean, we don't even know who his opponent is. But whoever this unknown opponent is going to go down pretty damn easy and quick. Overeem needs his boost. He is a cash cow. God bless him. And don't worry about the steroids. We need to just pretend that shit isn't even happening, and just be happy that we're all here, guys. Aren't we just happy to be here? That's the word.
That is the word, and that brings us to our bonehead of the week, where we talk about the dumbest person in our eyes in the week of MMA. And we just left off with Ramses, and we will start it off with the word on the street. Mr. Ramses, the Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter. Who's your bonehead?
Yeah, this one's easy. My bonehead of the week is Vanderlei Silva, a.k.a. his real name is Cesar de Silva. He is a phony, a fucking fraud. He is my bonehead this week because he's claiming that the UFC didn't even offer him the damn fight. Like, he didn't get the phone call asking him to fight Chael. And he's also claiming he had no idea that Chael issued a challenge to him, a 24-hour challenge on Twitter. Come on, that's when you knew it was horse shit. All right. So I'm not buying your shit, Vanderlei. You're ducking Chael Sonnen. You're afraid of him. You know you cannot win this fight. And you know that Chael needs a win. The UFC wants him to win too. That's not going to work in your favor, you son of a bitch. You are a bonehead. And what the fuck is with this sucking blood? I want to suck his blood. I want to smell him. I want to fuck Chuck. Why is everything always gay with you, Vanderlei? Why does everything just come down to homosexual, like, acts with you, man? You're the homosexual axe murderer. That's the word on the street. You are the bonehead of the week.
Oh my god, that is fucking awesome. Man, I really wish I could keep that funny candor into mine, but mine is laced with fucking hate. Brian Caraway, you stupid son of a bitch, saying all this stuff. Oh, I'm glad I have Pat Healy's money. I'm going to spend it on manicures and pedicures, and I'm going to get my hair done, and I'm going to get an enema while Misha Tate watches. Look, maybe you do need some fucking weed, because it sounds like you're spending all the rest of your time talking shit to women, telling women you want to beat the teeth down their throat. Are you kidding me? I would feel bad for weeks if I just walked by a stranger, a homeless woman. If I told a homeless woman I wanted to knock all the teeth down her throat, I would feel bad for her, even though I have no idea who this person is, what this person is. This guy goes around putting judgments on people, and that's my least favorite kind of person. These judgmental douchebags with sticks jammed 4 feet up their ass. Brian Caraway, maybe if you smoked weed, you'd be a little more relaxed, and you wouldn't be going around telling women that you're going to knock their teeth down your throat, you stupid son of a bitch. That's why he's my bonehead.
My bonehead of the week is a contestant off Tough Brazil 2, for those that have been watching it. I don't know what his name is. His name doesn't really matter, to be fair. We're never going to see him again anyway, because he committed the ultimate sin. Anyway, so he comes into the Tough Brazil house. You've got to fight to win. You've got to fight, you've got to win, you've got to get into the house. Same format we've seen before. He fights, he loses, he's out. Fair enough, he's gone. There's injuries, so they call back who they believe to be the best people. He gets given a second chance. This is a chance for you to make a career for yourself, to go and make some real money, to make a name for yourself. The guy he's replacing is actually already made it through to the quarters and got injured in the fight, but because I don't want him to go straight to the quarters, they say you've got to fight to get through, and his coach gets to pick a fight for him, and he gets to pick a fight from this other team, and he gets to pick one of the losing fighters. So he's got a good advantage here. You can tell he's struggling with his weight. He doesn't seem happy. He says no matter what he does, he's not losing weight. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, comes to the weigh-ins. He's 3 pounds overweight. Obviously, you can be 171. He weighs in 173, so in effect, he needs to lose another £2. But because of the rules they've got at the commission, they won't allow him to do any more weight cut because he's not looking healthy doing it. Because he's not managed himself properly. He's not been looking after himself. He's not been eating properly. But the funniest thing was, the coaches literally ripped him to pieces in front of everybody. Fabricio Verdun was his coach, and he basically come and said in front of everyone, and it was they obviously say it in Portuguese, but you get translation on the bottom, basically saying that he didn't come to fight, he wasn't mentally prepared, he let himself down, he let the team down, he's brought the morale down, he's a big disappointment, and he just completely hammered him, and eventually they didn't even kick him off the show, he just left. But yeah, he's the bonehead of the week for throwing away such a huge opportunity. Patrick?
Well, time for my bonehead of the week. Brian Caraway was such a fucking douchebag, and always is. I got to double down. I'm picking him as my bonehead of the week as well. I mean, really, this guy, talk about just a small man complex. Like Jacob mentioned, for you to even make any kind of threat towards a woman in any context, that is never called for, and that reflects poorly on you as a man. If you're publicly calling out other women, regardless if they're professional fighters or not, if you're calling out other women saying, "Oh, I'd beat your ass, I'll break your arm, I'll fucking break your teeth," I seriously question whether or not you have dick and balls. You are less than a man in my eyes. You have serious confidence issues. It really are just a terrible human being. Just the fucking stupidest people in the world seem to be the quickest ones to run their mouth. Brian Caraway, he is among the stupidest fucking people in the world. Brian Caraway, if you're listening, I will fuck you in the streets if I fucking see you. You're a bitch. You're the fucking bonehead of the week.
Powerful P-Money.
Man, you guys have clearly got it in for Brian Caraway. My guy's got to go to Joe Silva. I mean, he's cutting guys who lose their first UFC bout. I mean, Joe Rogan's been on about this for so long that you hear it over the fucking microphone when you're watching the UFC over and over again. He's just saying, "Oh yeah, it's UFC jitters and all this." So everybody who's listening to the UFC event knows that this guy, whoever comes in during their first fight, is having these UFC jitters. He said it during the Hector Lombard fight. He said it multiple times. James Head had the UFC jitters, everything like that. Kurt Hollaber has the UFC jitters when he fights Steven Seiler, but no, that fight deserved to win fight of the night and everything. First of all, it doesn't win fight of the night. Secondly, Kurt gets cut. Mark Hunt lost his first UFC fight against Sean McCorkle. He's now on a 5-fight winning streak. Why the fuck are you cutting people who have lost their first fight? I'll admit there's guys who probably don't deserve to be in the UFC, but Kurt was not one of them. I put up a tweet earlier in the week. I had 6 retweets and 6 favourites. None of these guys do I know except for Kurt. They were his family and best friends when you checked it out. Even his girlfriend retweeted it. His girlfriend and his mum retweeted my tweet. And Dana and Joe Silva, man, you can't be cutting these dudes. People lose their first fight. Not everybody is perfect. You've got a place to grow. Yeah, that's it. My rant's over. Sorry, guys.
We got a real healthy batch of... Oh, wait, shit. What the fuck am I doing? Cutting off Ramses. I'm sorry. It's you first.
Oh, yeah, you're just picking the goddamn bonehead. I gotta say, if it looks like a fancy boy, it talks like a fancy boy, it is a fancy boy. 2 people nominated him. I gotta follow through. Brian Caraway is the bonehead of the week. He is the fancy boy of the week.
Alright, well, the rules are you can't pick your own guy, but P-Money took Brian Caraway too, so I'm going to pick Brian Caraway. I've never been this full of vitriol at any of our bonehead of the week candidates, But, he did slide back like any coward would. After he said all that stuff about Rousey, he cowered back. Oh, I didn't mean it, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. People just need to know me. Look, I'm dating Misha Tate. See, it shows you I'm not a woman beater. Alright, look, yeah, you did pull all that shit back, but now you're starting an assault on a giant group of people that you know nothing about. You said it yourself, you've never done it, so you can't tell us that, oh, you hate it, I despise it. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Leave it at that. You're a fucking thief, and I hope Pat Healy breaks into your house tonight, slits your throat, takes his money back, and takes Misha Tate while he's at it.
Damn.
My bonehead of the week, I'm going to vote for Joe Silva. I don't like to see people get cut. If they put on a boring fight, I understand. But to go to cut Kurt after that fight with Silo, that was a great fight. I mean, it was a round apiece going to the third round. So yeah, I'm following Jay and going for Joe Silva.
I can't pick Rams this because I'm a little bi-curious. So the whole I want to fuck Chuck thing, I'm sorry, Ramses. There's nothing personal. Brian Caraway, I don't think he's done anything wrong personally. I know that there's the whole Rousey thing, but if Rousey was grabbing hold of my arm, I wouldn't let her break her. I'd try and punch her or kick her or stamp in her face or maybe put my dick in her mouth or something like that. So I've got to go with Ray.
She'd bite that 2-inch pecker right off.
Oh, it's already been bitten off. What are you on about? Anyway, I'm going with Ray. Missing weight. Yeah, man. I can't wait to watch this episode. It sounds awesome, and I'm going to check it out within the next couple of weeks. It should be good, buddy. You've hyped it up well.
P-Money, who's your bonehead?
Well, I don't know if I can make it Jay because I'm pretty sure I just got skipped. Unless I'm the bonehead, I don't know. Maybe I'm high and I just didn't even realize it.
He did skip you, for the record.
Of course he did, as Jay's one to do. But that's all right. We love you, Jay, you bastard. For my bonehead, I will go ahead and I will pick Jake's choice of Brian Caraway. I can't say it enough. Fuck that fool. He has done something wrong. He's committed the worst crime there is, the crime of ignorance. I have zero tolerance for the stupid. We need to fucking take this guy out back and just fucking put him down. Brian Caraway, you're my bonehead of the week, and you're my fucking first candidate for euthanasia.
Hell yeah, and that is the bonehead of the week. Brian Caraway wins the bonehead of the week this week. I mentioned even before this, he was the most hated, irrelevant fighter in the UFC. And he's just making things worse. Before we get to our preview of UFC on FX8, Jay actually has a bit of breaking news, so I'll let you take it away, and maybe we'll go around the round table if it's that gripping.
Right, yeah, it's pretty gripping. Now, I haven't had a chance, because this is breaking news, to find out the exact tweet, but I think Ramses may have alluded to it, or even Jake might have alluded to it earlier.
Nate Diaz?
Yes, Nate Diaz's tweet. He will either be fined and suspended or cut for that tweet, as far as cutting him. So, yeah, I'll pass it over to Patrick. What's your opinions, Patrick?
If you aren't aware, first I sort of want to preface it because I'm sure a lot of people have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. As a fly flies into my eye, what the fuck is going on? All right, Nate Diaz tweets about Brian Caraway, and he said, "quote." He called Brian Caraway, quote, the biggest fag in the world for accepting Pat Healy's UFC 159 bonus money. We know there have been buzzwords. So, Patrick, what are your thoughts on Diaz apparently going to be punished for calling Brian Caraway the biggest fag in the world?
I don't think so. I mean, the UFC, of course, they're going to punish him. They're going to pretend like Dana White wasn't out there gay bashing just a couple years ago. Of course, that's not what we like to promote here on the Roundtable, MMA Victor Radio. Definitely accepting and tolerant of all people's lifestyles. But I'd be lying if I said Nate Diaz wasn't just tweeting what everybody thinks. I mean, here's Brian Caraway, and just God, I could do a whole fucking show about what a douchebag he is. I mean, he's coming out, putting out this press conference or this little release saying how stoked he is to have gotten the submission of the night bonus. Of course you are. You fucking lucked into a submission of the night bonus. You got a fucking easy matchup against Johnny Bedford. If you look at the fucking style matchup, oh my God, that was a give me 10 days notice or not. Big weight cut, doesn't fucking matter. You still didn't earn the submission of the night. You just fucking lucked into it when Pat Healy tests positive, and then you're going to come out, you're going to fucking bash weed, you're going to basically throw Healy under the bus. This guy, he's got no fucking class. He didn't fucking earn this money. And he's so fucking proud that he's got it too. So, yeah, fuck that guy. Nate Diaz, he shouldn't get into any trouble. And, God, Nate Diaz, he's still my hero.
Ray, what are your thoughts on Diaz potentially getting in trouble for this?
Getting in trouble with this in the UFC doesn't mean anything anymore, does it? I mean, they made an example of Matt Mitrione for suspending him for like 2 days after what he said about Fallon Fox. So getting into trouble means sweet FA, to be fair, because the UFC doesn't back up what it says with regards to discipline for fighters. I mean, what Matt Mitrione did was a lot worse than what Nate Diaz has just tweeted out personally, so I don't read too much into it.
Ramses?
Yeah, this is some bullshit. He might get cut only because if he's looking to get cut, that might happen. I'm starting to have a conspiracy theory here going on myself now that I'm thinking about all this shit. I think Nate Diaz truly does not give a fuck. We can all agree on that. If he does get cut, guess what? He's going to go over to his brother Nick Diaz's War promotion, and that's going to help take that shit off right off the bat. There's nothing to lose here. If he gets suspended, it's just going to be for a little while. If he gets cut, he just goes to a new promotion. They start their own business, make a little scratch on the side there. So yeah, man, hats off to Nate Diaz. He's probably a genius. I take back all the shit about him being punchy.
Yeah, and I'll put my 2 cents in here. I do feel kind of wishy-washy on it. I mean, look, I'm from Florida, and I'm not gonna call people out, but I literally was having a serious conversation with my cousin recently, where my cousin told me that he thought gay people were as bad as child molesters, and I said, dude, I have a lot of respect for you. I've had a lot of respect for you since I was a little kid, but you saying that takes away so much respect I have. And he's like, well, I don't mean it like they're as bad, but they're both bad. Look, I have to deal, and it frustrates me dealing with homophobic people, both in my family and seeing just rednecks on the internet, on YouTube videos. I mean, you literally probably can't have a video on YouTube of a black fighter without 1 million people commenting with the N-word. A lot of people are just backwards, and we've definitely got to make sure to fight that. But when Nate Diaz says he's the biggest fag in the world, we all know what he means. Can we as human beings learn how to take context out of a fucking sentence? I mean, when Daniel Tosh joked around and said, when this woman stands up, you're making a rape joke and there's nothing funny about that. Yeah, you are, but he's a stand-up comic, and he responded, that'd be hilarious if 5 guys came out and raped you now. That was fucking funny. And you can't take that out of context. Do you really think Daniel Tosh had 5 black dudes waiting backstage and was seriously threatening her and seriously posing that as a real scenario? No. And do you think Nate Diaz was really trying to say something bad about gay people here? No. Fag is a word that means something different. In the UK, Ray and Jay know, when you talk about a fag, you could be talking about a cigarette. When I say I'm going to smoke a fag, I'm not saying I'm going to go beat up a gay person. When Nate Diaz says he's the biggest fag in the world, he's not saying he's the biggest homosexual person in the world. words can mean different things. And I just hope he doesn't get cut, because if we remember Dana White just a couple years ago when Dennis Ballman wore those short shorts, he had like this crazy long rant saying, yeah, I gave the guy who knocked him out extra money because that was 5 minutes too long to have to stare at that. Like, stare at what, Dana? A guy's thighs? Like, you've said homophobic things too. If Matt Mitrione doesn't get cut and Nate Diaz does, which I really don't think they will cut Diaz because they know Diaz is a cash cow for him. There are a lot of Diaz fans, a lot of people who tune in to watch Nick and Nate fight. He'll probably be fined, and it'll be another bullshit thing of someone saying something, it being completely taken out of context, and then them being punished for them, because we as a fucking society can't seem to pull our head out of our asses as far as words go. You know, words, fucking, it's 2013 and we're still getting tied up about words. Our buddy at Joey Diaz fan just tweeted us as well saying, I'm rolling a big fag right now. And I will also be after this show for sure. This whole Brian Caraway, Nate Diaz thing, it's making my fucking blood boil. Jay, what is your thought on it?
Man, these are all crazy situations. He got finished by Josh Thompson. That's the reality of it. The whole
Josh Thompson jerked him off in the ring?
Wait, what?
See, I'm taking your words out of context. I'm taking your words out of context like all these motherfuckers are taking Nate Diaz's words out of context. When you say Thompson finished him in the... Alright, I'm fucking reaching a little bit there. Sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
Look, I would have preferred that a lot more because I'm not, I'm very comfortable with my sexuality. If I see something gay, I'm not like, oh, what the fuck is that? What are you doing? It's just another part of life. You have your sexuality. You feel comfortable with that. Just because you see something else doesn't mean you have to react in a bad way. Whatever, man. The word fag is so outdated. I heard there was a time where you could only say the word fag if you were gay or something. Maybe that should come back. Maybe every time you use the word fag, you should be looked at as a homosexual. But no, Jake brought up a very good point. That is the fact that Dana White has used... He's obviously homophobic as well with the whole Dennis Hallman incident. But then we did actually see Dennis Hallman's tiny pecker, so what can we say? Yeah, it's a crazy debate, but I could justify him being cut. I could justify both the Diaz brothers being cut. They're the little spoilt princesses of the UFC. They've both lost to champions now. They're both riding 0-2 streaks. We've finally seen what it looks like to see a Diaz brother get finished. Not only did he get finished, but his corner said he'd had enough. Yeah, I could justify them being cut, whatever. They're just whiny little... They've passed it. We're past the 209 generation. It's done. The era is over.
All right, and we have talked a lot about this topic tonight. We will move on to UFC on FX8, this weekend's card, headlined by Vitor Belfort and Luke Rockhold. Let's talk about the prelims real quick. There are a lot of prelims on the card. We're only going to break down the top 3 fights, but which prelim stands out the most to you, Ray? And I guess you also can include the first main card fight with Rafael Natal, because we're not going to be covering that either.
For me, personally, the best prelim, which it should be on the main card instead of the Rafael Natal fight, is Nick Lentz and Hakron Diaz. I think that should be a really good fight. I think Lentz has looked awesome at featherweight, personally, so that would be the prelim I'll be looking forward to the most.
And the silence lets you know Jay's up.
How do you guys always know it's me? Yeah, it's got to be RDA. RDA is the only nickname in the UFC that hasn't caught on yet. We've got JDS, we've got GSP. RDA is going to be next. This guy's going to take it with a nice TKO, probably.
Huh. Well, guys, I'm not even going to fucking pretend to even... I don't know who's on the prelim card. I just know it's Rockhold versus Belfort. That's all I can tell you about this card here. So I'm gonna have to just concede here, pass. Who cares? I'll watch it on Facebook, I guess, but I don't even care. Let's let it be a surprise. How about that shit?
Well, Ramses, I got to say, first of all, don't watch it on Facebook. Check the YouTube stream.
the YouTube stream, it's a lot cleaner, a lot more pristine, less fucking hoops to jump through, doesn't bog down your graphic user interface as much. But anyways, when you watch these prelims, I got to agree with Ray here. Hackman Diaz versus Nick Lentz. That's the fucking fight. Hackman Diaz, he looked real good. I mean, granted, his debut was almost a year ago, but it was against Yuri Alcantara. Very tough fight for his UFC debut at 145, and he looked fantastic. He fucking wrapped Yuri Alcantara up. His grappling looked amazing. It's going to be a super interesting fight. I'm really looking forward to this. I think we can look forward to some big things from Diaz if he gets past Nick Lentz. And Nick Lentz, he's been on quite a tear at 145. He's only got, I think, the 2 fights, but they have been impressive. I mean, he fucking railroaded Diego Nunes. So, yeah, that's the prelim I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat. You got Nick Lentz, who I love. He's a monster. He moved down to featherweight, just beat Diego Nunez. Hackman Diaz hasn't lost since 2009. Both of them are very, very impressive guys. Diaz with that win against Yuri Alcantara. Yuri is not a slouch, so I'm looking forward to that as well. But it's not the most exciting card. This is one of the... it's not very deep at all. It's pretty shallow. We will get to the top 3 cards. RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos, taking on Evan Dunham in a matchup of top lightweights. The winner of this will probably crack the top 10. Simply put, who you got? I got RDA.
Oh, holy shit. Look, man. Oh, it's not even my turn. All right. Sorry, it was Jay's turn. I wasn't going to answer anyway.
Yeah, man. I accidentally answered the last question before this one. I got RDA to get the finish, guys. My bad.
Okay. Yeah, I'll also go with Rafael Dos Anjos, whatever the fuck his name is, just because I always pick against him, just because I don't know who he is, really. I don't care. So this time I'll actually go for the guy, and I'll remember it. Yeah. Was it P-Money?
This is a super tough fight. Evan Dunham, he's a top talent at 155. I strongly believe he had a lot of momentum there going in after the Sean Shirk fight, which he should have won. He had a close fight with T.J. Grant. I mean, I really like Evan Dunham. He just beat Gleison Tibau, who Rafael Dos Anjos lost to. Evan Dunham does have Evan Dunham does have several wins over opponents that RDA has lost to. Of course, MMA math is not the end-all, be-all. You got to watch the tape and see how it plays out. And this is in Brazil. I really want to go with Dos Anjos here, but I've got to go with Dunham. He's the underdog in Vegas. Throw a little money on him because I think as far as Americans winning in Brazil, Evan Dunham's probably got the best shot out of anybody on this card this weekend.
Ray? You with us, Ray?
He's gone. Ray is gone.
Oh, he said, call me, please. So I will call him, please, while I break down the card. You have Rafael Dos Anjos, however you want to pronounce it, taking on Evan Dunham. Like I mentioned, both of these guys are sort of on the precipice to crack the top 10. RDA's on a 3-fight win streak against Kamal Shalarus, Anthony Njokuani, and Mark Bocek. Bocek is an excellent fighter. Dunham, a little hit and miss. He's only on a 1-fight win streak against Gleison Tibau. It was a split decision. Before that, he lost to Nick Grant. Before that, he beat Shamar Bailey and Nick Lentz. He did look spectacular in that TKO doctor stoppage win against Lentz, that one fight of the night. But I just don't see him getting on past Rafael Dos Anjos. Ray?
I've always been a big fan of Evan Dunham, and I know he lost the fight to TJ Grant, but then we saw how good TJ Grant looked against Matt Wyman, and Grant's just evolved so much, and his striking looks phenomenal, and Dunham made a good fight of that and went the distance. RDA has looked good as well. I think this is a really, really intriguing fight and has potential to be fight of the night. I'm leaning towards Dunham. Maybe I'm picking with my heart, I'm not sure, but I'm leaning towards Dunham. But it's going to be close, and I think it's going to go the distance.
For sure, yeah. This looks like a fight that could go the distance because both of these guys have iron jaws. We'll move on to Jacare Souza versus Chris Camozzi. It was originally supposed to be Jacare versus Philippou, a fight I think we all would have rather seen than Chris Camozzi. I like Chris a lot. He's young. He's 26. He's going to be in the UFC for a long time, in my opinion. I think this is going to be his 10th UFC fight. This is his 10th UFC fight, which is very impressive for a 26-year-old. And I think in those fights he's only lost 2. Yeah, he's currently 7-2 in the UFC. His only losses to Kyle Noke and Francis Carmont. He just beat Dustin Jacoby, Nick Catone, Luis Kane, Nick Ring. Man's on a 4-fight winning streak, so he definitely does deserve getting put in here. I've heard a couple of guys saying, "Who is Chris Camozzi? He shouldn't have been put in." If you're on a 4-fight win streak, that is legit. But Jacare is just something else. He showed against Derek Brunson last year that he has the stand-up to match his amazing mat work. He's probably the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist in the UFC, and if not the best, he's in the conversation with guys like Damian Maia and Vinny Magalhães. He's something else. And I really wish the best for Chris, and I think he is going to have a good career, but I don't see Jacare losing this fight.
You're out of your goddamn mind, Jake, from the MMA podcast. Jacare Souza, it's all over from him and his stupid, I'm from Brazil, I got my jiu-jitsu, whatever. It's not going to matter, nobody's going to give a shit. Chris Camozzi is the real deal, alright? People fighting out of the Pacific Northwest. You summed up his fight experience. His record speaks for itself, but I'll just tell you this. He is a friend of the living legend, Coach Jamie Huey. And so therefore he is a friend of mine, and I got his back on this one. He's going to win. He's going to beat this Brazilian bum. It's all over. Word on the street.
I love Chris Camozzi.
I was just going to say, for once, it's not Jay who's missing his cue.
Zing. No, Camozzi, I like the guy. I'm rooting for him all the time. He's just, he's got that blue collar approach to the game, similar to one of the Miller brothers. Hard to root against the guy. Gosh, he's really in for a tough one against Jacare, though. Jacare has shown much improved striking. He does have some pretty diverse striking as well to complement his insane Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game. Camozzi, he's a live dog in this, but I mean, really, you have to go with Jacare in this one. He just seems to have a little more in all the areas of the game. While Camozzi, although if one thing were to be on Camozzi's side, I would say maybe stature-wise, he may be a little bit bigger than Jacare. I'd have to wait till weigh-ins, but offhand, I want to say he's a little bigger than Jacare, but heck, you know what? Sometimes that just makes you an easier target, so hate to do it. Love my boy Camozzi, but I got to pick with Jacare on this one.
I think you're asking the wrong question. It shouldn't be who's going to win. It should be what round will Jacare submit Camozzi in. I mean, this is, for me, such a mismatch. I mean, Camozzi's last fight was awful against Nick Ring. It was such a horrible fight. But it was one of the fights where they could have cut both guys, the winner and the loser. It was that terrible. And I know we've got a Camozzi fan and a Nick Ring fan on the show. But yeah, I mean, Jacare's fight facing Philippou was such an intriguing matchup because Philippou has looked phenomenal in the UFC. But for me, this is a round one submission. I'll be shocked if Camozzi makes it out of round one. Jacare annihilated Ed Herman, and I personally rank Ed Herman higher than Chris Camozzi.
Jay?
Ray dropping in and out? Yeah.
He sounded fine with me. It might be on your end.
Yeah, probably my end. I got Jacare to catch him very early on. I think on the feet, Camozzi's going to struggle, and on the ground, it's going to be quick. Jacare's going to catch him with something. I don't know whether it'll be as simple as a rear naked choke or something flashy like a triangle. But Camozzi's walking out of this one with a win.
Wow. Yeah. Wait, did you just say Chris Camozzi was coming out with a win?
No, Jacare, my bad. Did I say Camozzi?
I think you said Camozzi. But whether or not he did or not, Jacare is a big favorite, and most people will be expecting him to win. But in this sport of MMA, you never know. I felt like the biggest asshole in the world. That card that had Rashad versus Little Nog and Overeem versus Bigfoot Silva. I was watching with a couple friends who knew a little bit about the UFC but not much, and I told them, all right, these guys, Rashad Evans and Alistair Overeem, these bums, Little Nog and Bigfoot Silva, they don't have anything against them. They got a 0% chance to win. It's going to be Rashad and Overeem all day. And we saw what happened there. So that's why they walk out. That's why they fight the fights, because anything could happen. The final fight we're going to cover before we play it out, Vitor Belfort taking on Luke Rockhold. This is going to be close. Both of these guys are dangerous guys. This is the one excellent fight on the card, Vitor and Luke, and it is going to be close. Vitor is going to have the advantage of experience. He's going to have the advantage of being in Brazil. He's going to have the advantage of being on TRT. Luke Rockhold has the advantages of youth, speed, strength. Maybe a bigger toolbox. I haven't seen Belfort throw the kind of head kicks that I've seen Rockhold have, and I think Rockhold knows what to do when he gets on the mat, so I don't know if Belfort would necessarily be able to tap him out. Very simply, who you got? I got Belfort, and all I need is 3 letters to explain why, and you guys already know what they are. TRT. Patrick?
We need to call Patrick if you want him to answer this question.
Oh shit, did he drop out of the call? Those
damn
motherfuckers.
right he did.
Damn, and he wrote a lot as I talked. So we will skip Patrick momentarily and get to Ray. Belfort, Rockhold, who you got?
Belfort looked good in his last fight, obviously, with the knockout win over Bisbin. I just think at the minute it's time for the new guys to come through. I think the Strikeforce guys have been coming and have been shocking me, to be honest with you. Some of the fights they've been pulling out, it's been fantastic. But yeah, I think Rockhold's going to do it again. I think he's going to get the upset, and I think he'll go on and fight for the middleweight title. I don't think he'll win the title, but of course he was the former Strikeforce champion. But yeah, I think he will fight for the middleweight title in the future.
It's a very interesting matchup. I think right now Belfort is the number 2 in the world, especially at middleweight with Chael Sonnen now gone. The only other guys who could contend are Sonnen. He's not, as I just said, he's not in the division. Akami, Bisping's probably 4, Weidman's probably 3rd, but no, Rockhold right now is sitting on that top 5. I mean, this is it. This is his chance, but he's got to beat a TRT'd Vitor Belfort, and that is easier said. That is easier said than done. He's got his hands full. It's in Brazil.
Uh-oh.
Well, I guess that might be the last we hear at Jay Jeans. Ramses?
Yeah, he interrupted. Yeah, fucking Jay, he's got to get his shit together, man. I'm eating a lime popsicle right now, and he interrupted me in mid-deliciousness.
How deep are you going down on the popsicle?
It's not like one of those shapes, though. It's like a flat shape, so it's totally cool. No homo. All right, here we go with the Vitor Belfort Luke Rockhold main event fight that's going down Saturday night, people. I know you're all excited, but I'm excited too, but I know the truth. It is going to be a work. I just haven't figured out exactly how it's going to play out yet. I don't know what the play is yet. This is one of those fights, though, where you're going to know what's going to happen at the weigh-ins tomorrow night. The weigh-ins are going to decide it all. If Luke Rockhold comes in there shuffling around looking weak, looking like he can't compete against Vitor Armstrong, then you're gonna know that you're gonna know it's gonna be an easy layup fight for Vitor. Obviously, I know for a fact that the judges. That's right, I just said it's a fact. The judges have been paid off. No matter what, if it goes to a decision, it's gonna go to a Vitor decision. But maybe they might, If Luke Rockhold comes in there at the weigh-ins looking like he's in the best shape of his life, for some reason Vitor doesn't look the same, then you got to ask yourself some questions about what they're going for here. Do they want to retire Vitor because of the TRT stuff? It's just making everybody look bad at this point. Who knows? But it will be at work. You'll know tomorrow night who's going to win just when they square up. I swear to God and everything holy. That's the word on the street.
And you do know when they do square off, I always notice it seems like all the weigh-ins and press conferences that go down in Brazil, like, the lighting's just not adequate. There's shadows all over the stage. There's, like, weird purple and blue lights being shined on people's face. The post-fight press conference, I think, is done in the janitor's closet. Joey Diaz fan just tweeted us, Vitor wins, roids. I hope Rockhold collects the secret kill bonus. So there is, actually, I think Joey Diaz fan is letting us into a big secret of the UFC. Dana White does have a secret kill bonus.
Sure.
If you kill your opponent inside the octagon, you get $65,000. P-Money got knocked off the call and wasn't able to chime in at the beginning, so we'll save the best for last. P-Money, Belfort, Rockhold, who you got? I'm running out of air here.
Well, God damn it, Jake. If I got to pick this fight, I'm picking Vitor Belfort. I just rewatched his fight with Michael Bisping just last night. He was looking jacked to the gills, and you know he's just been juicing for months straight. He's been in the gym. He's looking like fucking like Zoidberg in the Futurama episode. Why must I be a crustacean in love? He's just fucking. He's roided out the gills. He's probably bench pressing like 500 pounds. He knows they don't give a fuck what your ratio is down there in Brazil, and neither does the UFC. The UFC's handling the tests. They don't care if it's 6-1, 16-1, 50-1. Vitor, he's going to come through. Let's not forget, Vitor, he's probably still a bigger star in Brazil than any other mixed martial arts fighter, including Anderson Silva, in spite of getting front kick knocked out by him. And let's also not forget that in the past, I don't even know how many fucking years, Vitor's only losses are to Anderson Silva and John Jones, and he nearly snapped John Jones' arm. Luke Rockhold, yeah, he beat Jacare. It was a good fight. You know, and what did he do after that? I think he knocked out Keith Jardine or some bullshit like that. He doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the juice on his side. Vitor's going to come out just so jacked up, and you know what? He's going to have all the fucking TRT. He's going to have so much testosterone flowing through his system. He's going to get this win. He's going to get treated like a fucking hero, and all the fucking pussies out there are still going to fucking cry about people testing positive for weed and how, oh, you shouldn't cry about weed being illegal. Go fuck yourselves. While this TRT shit's going on, you're gonna say fucking people tested positive for weed deserve to have their fucking money taken away. Go fuck yourselves.
Bringing powerful takes to the table today. Before we close it out, I think Jay Jeans got cut off and he is back. Jay, did you want to finish your piece on Belfort Rockhold?
Yeah, man, I think Patrick summed it up pretty nicely. The only thing I'm going to say is Belfort is, without a doubt, number 2. Weidman's probably number 3. Silva is always going to be number 1. But this fight is in Brazil. That's it. The TRT is going to be the difference. Good luck to Luke Rockhold. But yeah, you guys have mentioned the kill list and everything. He's going to get hurt. If he's anything anywhere near as prepared as Bisping was, he's going to get hurt. He's got to over-prepare for this fight. This is something else. I hope he's been living in Brazil. As the only thing I have got to mention is the Brazilians don't love Belfort, as the TUF series showed. A lot of them disrespect him. Vanderlei Silva, Verdun, Big Nog, nobody wanted that Vitor Belfort poster in that house. That was a very funny moment. But either way, they're going to be rooting for him to knock out another American.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, well, I guess that was the last topic we had to cover. We will be back next Tuesday. It's going to be a temporary change. The show is every Thursday night, but next week will be a one-off, and that's next Tuesday. Same time, 5 to 7 Eastern. We will be breaking down this UFC on FX 8 card and previewing UFC 160. That's scheduled for May 25th. Ray, you want to plug in May Mental one more time?
Yeah, sorry, I had to take myself off mute. Yeah, we spoke to a few good guests again this week. Let me just get the guests up. We spoke with up and coming fighter Kerry Hughes. I think she's gonna be a future women's MMA star. She's one to watch. We spoke to John Kofi, who's obviously on the Ultimate Fighter. He's now fighting for XFC. He talked about the Ultimate Fighter and talked about his up-and-coming fight. Interviews next week. We're in the process of booking. We've got Jesse Taylor coming up. We're in the process of booking Spencer Fisher. Should have Michael McDonald on shortly. Not sure exactly when that's going to be. And we're also starting a new feature on we're doing an MMA Victor Roundtable, and Luke Barnett's going to be joining us on that. Hopefully, be a regular panelist on that show as well. So that's something to look out for.
Hell yeah, check out MMA Mental. They're doing huge things. I mean, these motherfuckers are getting credentialed as press. Ray's at press conferences asking Dana White questions. These are the most legit podcasters in the family. They do work. They get like 10 interviews a week, and they fucking work their asses off as well. If, that's talking about legit podcasts. Let's go underground. Let's go to the word on the street. Ramsey's Coach Jamie Huey and myself putting in work on the word on the street. What is the word on the street, Ramses? You are the captain of the boat when it comes to the word.
Look, people, if you're listening to this right now, you probably don't have a hot date coming up tonight. That's why you got to follow me on Twitter, the Ant Jimmy Show on Twitter. I will be giving away Twitter girlfriends tonight, and also there's going to be a little bonus episode here, a little live podcast a little bit later on. Be sure to check that out. I don't even know who the fuck's going to be on, but it's going to be ridiculous. We're going to talk about the shit here that you'll never see on UFC tonight. Never, ever, ever. That is the word on the street.
Yeah, those Thursday podcasts always get wild. They sometimes feel like more of a party. I mean, last week we had Yao, Allen. I think we had 2 of your Twitter girlfriends on. A girly MMA called up, one of the sexiest sounding women in mixed martial arts. Go ahead and check that out. And yeah, that is the word on the street. Tune in tonight and follow this motherfucker on the Ant Jimmy Show to keep up. Follow Ray at MMA Mental and Jay at J_Jeans, who is the host of the Early Stoppage podcast. You want to plug that one more time for us? No? Is that a no? Alright, I guess he doesn't want to plug that.
Well, I do. I just, you guys keep kicking me and not letting me, announce my winnings on the guest that tweet game. Look, if you want to talk to the champion, if you want to hear what the champion's got to say, first of all, you've got to follow me at Twitter at J_Jeans, I think I am. Then you've got to listen to the Early Stoppage. It's every Monday, Tuesday, whatever. We find out on the day whenever it gets pumped out. But yeah, if you follow at MMA Mentor, we will tweet you out telling you when the show's out. It's on YouTube. It's a 30-minute podcast. We had Patrick on this week, who's gone now, who can't promote it for me. Next week we'll have somebody awesome on as always. But yeah, check it out, guys.
Check out the Early Stoppage. Check out the word on the street with Ramses and Coach Jamie Huey. Check out MMA Mental with Ray, Patrick, and they got a slew of guests every week. They've actually had some great interviews. If you haven't heard their Bruce Buffer interview, if you haven't heard their Tyson Fury interview, there are a few others that really stand out. Ray, you do a great job bringing guys on, getting good interviews with them. We try and do the same. We were going to have Chris Camozzi on the MMA podcast, but as you can imagine, that sort of fell through. The MMA podcast, that's every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow we will be doing it live, and we will be taking calls if you want to tune in. That's every Friday at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. If you want to follow us, we're on Twitter at the MMA Podcast and themmapodcast.com. Thank you so much for tuning into the Roundtable, and we'll see you next week. We go.